everyone, it's Ruber. Today, I have something urgent to share with anyone planning a trip to Japan this summer. So, have you heard about this? Flight prices on certain routes went up by 57% in just 2 weeks. If your ticket was $700, that same ticket could now cost over $1,000. How did that even happen? I know, right? Well, it all comes down to something happening far away in the Middle East. In March 2026, the United States launched airstrikes on Iran, and this sent shockwaves through the global energy market. Now, do you know the Strait of Hormuz? It's a narrow waterway, only about 30 miles wide, connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. And here's the thing. Roughly 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes through this strait. It's one of the most critical shipping routes on the planet. With tensions rising between the US and Iran, fear spread around the world that this strait could be blocked. The result? Oil prices surged, and that impact has now reached your flight ticket. Flight prices are exploding. Here's how to still get a deal. To keep a plane in the air, you need jet fuel. And jet fuel actually accounts for 20 to 25% of an airline's total operating costs. That fuel price has spiked sharply in response to the situation in the Middle East. That 57% figure I mentioned at the beginning? That's exactly how much jet fuel prices have risen. And airlines can't just sit back and absorb that cost. Air New Zealand, Cathay Pacific, Qantas, over 10 airlines have already announced fare increases. On top of that, something called a fuel surcharge is also being raised. This is an additional fee charged separately from your base ticket price, and it can add up to hundreds of dollars depending on the route. In the United States, there are already reports of ticket prices doubling on some routes. And the CEO of United Airlines has stated that airfares will rise imminently. In other words, this is only the beginning. Now, let's talk a little about how flight prices actually work. Do you believe that booking early always means getting a cheaper ticket? Well, that's not necessarily true. Flight prices work a lot like the stock market. They fluctuate in real time, constantly shifting based on supply and demand. But here's what makes them different from stocks. Prices go up far more often than they come down. In fact, it's not unusual for a flight to jump by hundreds of dollars in a single day. And once prices go up, they almost never come back down. Travel experts say they hear it all the time. It was so much cheaper yesterday. That feeling of regret? It happens because waiting is actually the riskiest move you can make. Travel experts put it simply. The moment you decide your destination, dates, and time off, that is your best price. Waiting won't make it cheaper. If anything, waiting makes it more expensive. That's just how flights work. So, who exactly should book right now? First, if you're planning your trip around a major holiday like summer break or New Year's, demand spikes every year during these periods, and prices almost never drop the closer you get. Next, if you're looking at flights to popular destinations like Japan, these routes have consistently high demand, and prices tend to climb as your departure date approaches. Then, if you want a direct flight, seats are limited and the cheapest ones go fast. And if you're traveling with someone, 2 or more people on the same flight, pay close attention. There might be 1 seat left at a certain price, but finding 2 seats in the same fare class is a whole different story. The more of these conditions apply to you, The faster prices will rise the longer you wait. If you're thinking, I want to fly direct to Japan this summer with a friend, you should be booking today. So how do you actually go about booking? The first thing I'd recommend is using a comparison site like Google Flights or Skyscanner. You can compare prices across multiple airlines at once, making it much easier to find the best deal. Google Flights in particular has a feature called Price Tracking Alerts. You set up a route you're interested in, and it notifies you whenever the price changes. Even if you can't book right this moment, setting this up will help you stay on top of price movements. Also, if you have a little flexibility with your schedule, try shifting your departure date by a few days in either direction. Prices can vary significantly even on the same route depending on the date. And always check the price difference between direct and connecting flights. Connecting flights take longer, but they can sometimes be significantly cheaper. Now, to be honest, not everyone needs to book right this second. There are some situations where it's okay to wait and see. First, if you have 4 to 6 months or more before your departure, the market may still be relatively stable at that point, and prices haven't fully reacted yet. Next, if you're not set on any particular flight or itinerary, if you're flexible with which airline you take or when exactly you fly, you have more room to ride out the price fluctuations. Also, if multiple airlines are flying the same route, there's a chance that competition between them could push prices down. That said, making these calls is incredibly difficult, and if you read the situation wrong, you could end up paying more, not less. Even travel experts describe waiting as an advanced move that requires careful judgment. So as a general rule, if you're hesitating, just book. That's the golden rule. So, what did you think? In this video, we covered how the situation in the Middle East is impacting flight prices and what you should do right now if you're planning a trip to Japan. Waiting won't make your ticket cheaper. If anything, the longer you wait, the more you'll pay, and price hikes can happen without any warning. If you're thinking about visiting Japan this summer, let today's video be the nudge you needed. Go ahead and check those flight prices right now. Erst Japan will continue bringing you the charm of Japan and the latest travel information. See you again in the next video. Bye! See